Alright everyone, today's video, bulking 101. A full tutorial, a full guide on exactly what to do if you want to get from A to B. You've never bulked before and you're a little bit lost, a bit clueless as to what you got to do. This is going to be a complete guide of every single step of how to get there and some hacks you need to know from, a lot of bulking in my time. I've made a lot of mistakes, I've done everything you can imagine, and I want to basically share and put this all into one guide. I did a similar video on this, but this is going to be a kind of full comprehensive one for anyone who's never done it before. So, without further ado, we shall get started. 1. Physique assessment. So, first question you need to ask yourself, can you see your abs? When you look in the mirror and you pull your shirt up, do you have abs, or can you, fairly see them? If so, you're in a position where you can bulk, because we have a roadmap where we can essentially gain a little bit of fat and we're still going to look relatively lean. However, if you're not in that position and you're already a little bit kind of fat and you can't see your abs, it might be in your interest to cut and then bulk. The reason why is because fat gain is inevitable when we bulk, all right? We are going to basically gain a little bit of fat, or we might not gain any fat, but we're going to stay exactly where we are. So if you're not happy with where you are, you might want to just shred a little bit of fat, which I've got other videos on if you want to watch. But that's kind of your starting point. That's number one. So that's where a physique assessment comes down to. And if you're not in a position to bulk, then obviously don't do it. So make sure you can see your abs roughly. And then, you've got a kind of roadmap to gain a little bit of fat and it's not going to affect you so much. Because let's say you're 15% body fat and we gain 5%. You're now 20%. Yes, you've gained a lot of muscle, but it's all hidden below the fat. So it's no good for us. So get to that position first. Once you've done that, tdeecalculator.net. That right there is your gold mine. You use that to work out your maintenance calories. So here we are. I'm 172 centimeters and I'm 73 kg. Therefore, my maintenance calories are 2,643. Now I know exactly how much I need to maintain my current weight. That's a really important number to understand, because I can use that to manipulate it to gain more weight or lose more weight if I want to. So work out your maintenance calories, number one. After that, find out your goal weight. And basically, when we're bulking, we can reach a target of around 15% body fat. That's about as much fat as we want to gain on the bulk. And then after that, we want to look at kind of getting rid of that fat. So we want the slowest way possible to get to 15% body fat. And a really, really good way of doing this is going to that exact website I just showed you, and then going down to the maximum muscular potential bit here. And it just shows you kind of what your body is like and what it is capable of. So when I was bulking, I think I started at 60 kg, and I always saw, 79 kg at 15% as my kind of goal. I got to that. I got to a kind of 80, and I was a little bit over, maybe 17%. I overdid it. But then it meant when I cut down, I got to around 74, 10%. I'm now around 73, and I'm floating in between that 10% and 5%. So it's not completely accurate, but it is a really good indicator. So if you're unsure of what you need to bulk up to, use this as your guide. And after that, if you want to get started, put yourself in a 300 calorie surplus to begin with. So if I was just getting started, 2,643 calories, I would put myself in a 2,943 calorie surplus. As a result, I'm going to be gaining muscle every single week. And what we'll do is we're going to test this. So we're going to start with 300. We don't want to start on the higher end, because we want to use that as a tool at our disposal, say we're not gaining enough weight. So don't start at a deep end. Start very small and work your way up. It's the smartest way to do things. So yeah, 300 calorie surplus to begin with. Now, we want to go into a testing phase. So we want to test our diet, exactly like I said. So you start with a 300 calorie surplus, and then you make sure you're weighing yourself weekly. So use a weighing scale, weigh yourself fasted in the mornings, and really just kind of understand what you're at when you start, and then where you're at and gaining every week. Ideally, you want to be gaining around 0.4 or something a week. That's a really good gain, be doing that. But as long as you're gaining on a monthly basis and the trend is going up, you're doing something right. So start with a 300 calorie surplus, analyze, see what's happening. If everything is going well, then the surplus is working. If you gain, it's happy days. If you do not, and that's the case after 2 to 3 weeks, just because you don't see gain in 1 week, don't just increase the calories. Wait 2 to 3 weeks. If you don't see anything, increase by 50 calories or so. Maybe your metabolism is a little bit faster than we think. Maybe you're burning a bit more calories. That's something you want to make sure you're doing, and then just keep reassessing. So you're playing a game of chess here, you're just trying to make the best move essentially, and you're just trying to gain little bits of weight without gaining any fat. That's kind of a key here. And one thing I will touch on actually is make sure that we've got our maintenance calories, right, and we've got our surplus, but understand that if you are burning extra calories through football on the weekends, or if you go for a run, make sure that you're putting that into account. It needs to come back to the baseline, if you know what I'm saying. So if you burn 500 calories, you need to eat those 500 calories back and then continue as we were before. Otherwise, you'll be in a deficit, and that slows things down. That's why you need to be a little bit meticulous with this and understand what you're doing. However, the main rule I want to get across here is do not go over the 500 calorie surplus. This is the major rule that I need you to follow. I fucked up and did not do this, and as a result, I got really fat. And then what happens is you just kind of resent yourself in the mirror. You look and it's like, why am I bulking? It's like, I don't like what I see. And the point is, you know, you can do that and then you can spend time cutting, but it's not the right move. Because what would be more favourable is to stay in the surplus at a lower surplus and then bulk up leaner. It'll take a little bit longer, but you'll stay lean, you'll stay happy with what you've got in the mirror. And then when you come to cut, it will also be quicker. As opposed to extremities doing a massive bulk and then a massive cut. Because like I said, the surplus is where we gain the most muscle. So we want to be in that situation for as long as possible. If you rush it and you increase the surplus, so you have to do a longer cut, you're now in a cut which isn't the right kind of position you want to be in to be gaining muscle. So therefore your muscle growth slows down. You spend more time dieting and you eventually go around in a circle. It's not the way you want to do it. So rule 1, don't go over 500 calorie surplus. That's why we start at 300, and you've got my permission to go 300, 350, 400, 450 and 500. 500 is the limit. That's it. And then if you're not gaining after that, there's a reason why, which I will talk about in a second. But that's a really, really important rule to understand. So moving on from that, there are some variables that you do want to manage. Number 1 is calories, but after that, protein is really important because you will not build muscle if you're not getting enough protein in. So the most important variables are calories and protein. You can do whatever the fuck you want with fats and carbs. You can get all your remaining calories from fats, you can get it from carbs. I wouldn't recommend that though, because carbs give you energy, which allows you to store your muscles with glycogen, which then allows you to lift more and gain more. So you want a balance. But what I'd recommend is 2.2 grams per kg of protein. That's served me well. You can overdo it. I don't mind overdoing it because I'd rather have too much of a protein problem. You're not going to get kidney stones, right? Unless you're having fucking 4 grams per kilo. So I'd rather have that than too little. I think there's this argument on the internet where it says, oh, you only need 1 gram per kg of protein. But like, I'd rather be right and overdo it than have too little. Like, maybe you're right, but you're likely fucking small. So shut up. All right, that's my logic. Sorry if that offended anyone. So 2.2 grams per kilo of protein, 20 to 30% of fats. That's a good range. And then the remainder carbs. So let's say we're 65 kg body weight, eating 3,200 calories. That's going to get macros. 140 grams of protein, 90 grams of fat, 345 grams of carbs. All makes sense. So that's what you want to be focusing on. Now, moving on to step 3. Today, please. Step 3. Let me move my head 1 minute. Right, training intensity and recovery. So, the surplus is one piece of the puzzle. It puts you in the best spot for growing muscle mass, as we've talked about, only if your intensity and recovery are on point as well. You can't just have a surplus and then gain muscle. It doesn't work. The surplus facilitates the muscle growth process, only provided if your intensity is right. So you need to be stimulating enough growth in the gym, and you do that by training hard enough. So you need to be training to failure. You need to be doing exercises that allow you to train to failure. If you're doing bench press with no spot and you're not pushing yourself to failure because you're scared that you might drop the weight because no one's spotting you, it's not the right exercise. Instead, go onto the machine where you know you can push it and you're not going to injure yourself. Therefore, you stimulate more growth, you gain more muscle, and then the surplus and the recovery are on point, so you gain more, if that makes sense. That's something you really want to work on, and it's a really important thing to understand, which I'll explain in a second. But recovery is also really important as well. So what most guys have is training intensity down, they have the surplus down, but then they overtrain, so then the muscles actually have never have much time to recover, so they don't grow. So you need intensity and recovery. They're all really important, equally important, and That's what you need to understand if you are lacking or you're hitting a plateau or you're not gaining weight or anything. Weight will come through muscle. And if you're not gaining muscle and you're eating 500 calories, the mistake is increasing the calories too quickly. I've done this. I've just assumed, right, well, it must be down to a surplus, so let's eat 4,000 calories, 4,500, assuming the surplus is fault. But it's not. You might just be training like a pussy. That's exactly what it is. You might just need to be pushing more because the surplus should stay at a constant kind of phase. But the training intensity should just be keep going up and up and up because you're getting more calories, you're getting stronger. The training intensity should be going up and up. And that's kind of what you need to be focusing on. If you're in a 500 calorie surplus and you are not gaining, it's likely because you're not training hard enough and you're not stimulating enough growth. That's all it is. So make sure that if you hit that plateau, which you shouldn't, if you're just starting out, you should be gaining quite a lot. But if you ever do and you're in that surplus, it's likely because you're not training hard enough or you're not giving yourself enough time to recover. So audit both. Audit all three of those: surplus, recovery, training. Find the lacking one, fix it, see what happens. That's step number 3 when it comes to your bulk. So rule 2, do not increase the calories past 500. Do not increase it too quickly, otherwise we will gain ridiculous amounts of fat, which is not what we want. So, step 4, the end of the bulk. When should we end it? How far should we go? Theoretically, you could keep going for as long as you want, but I'm assuming everyone's goal here is an aesthetic physique. Therefore, 15% body fat is kind of a limit, what I say. That's when we start to lose our abs, which is why we want to call it there and delay that as much as possible. So we do that by bulking up lean, sticking to that surplus we talked about, 300 to 500 calories, which means we're going to be gaining minimal fat, and it means we'll get to that 15% target within a very, very long period of time. We're spending a lot of time in the surplus, and we're just chipping away, up in the strength, putting more weight on the bar, and we're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, which is great, and we're not gaining much fat whilst doing so. So as a result, we're looking more muscular. The muscle is kind of out-proportioning the layers of fat that we have, and we're just looking great. That's the beauty of bulking up lean. It gives us more time to spend in a surplus, which is favourable for muscle growth. Like I said, if you're in a deficit, you can grow muscle, but it's much easier in a surplus. So let's spend as much time as possible there, and we do that by bulking lean. So don't rush it. If you're new, you want to spend as much time as possible here. You want to milk it for all it's got. I think the best decision I ever made was when I first started. I was like, right, we're going to bulk. I'm going to do it for 2 years because you've got to go hard or go home. The person who loses is the person who goes from bulk to cut to bulk to cut to bulk to cut because they just fuck around too much. They're going up and down, up and down, up and down, and they're just going in circles. Instead, delayed gratification, as they say. Wait a little bit. Understand you're not going to see your abs for a while because we're in an important building phase where we're growing muscle. It's the hard part to grow muscle, and we need to spend a considerable amount of time, 1 to 2 years in this phase. Get ready for that. Understand that. If you're prepared to do that, then you're already winning. You just got to do that. Keep going, and then after those 2 years, you'll build up so much muscle, which is hard to build, that then when you cut, you've warranted the cut because you have enough muscle to show. Once you lose all that fat, there's definition there. You look sick. Do you see what I mean? Muscle growth is the hard part, but dieting is relatively easy. So make sure that you're focusing on the muscle growth when you're starting, and only cut when you have sufficient muscle mass to warrant the cut. Otherwise, you waste time. You choose one and you prioritize. You don't go back and forth, shiny object syndrome. Oh, I want to look big. Oh, I want to look cut. No, you choose one. And for most people who are just starting, we want to bulk up. We focus all on that. 1 to 2 years, and we get our target 15% body fat, and then we cut after. Now, you can do your mini cuts every 6 months or so when you want to just get rid of a bit of fat. So what we do is 1 month, go straight into a deficit, quick in and out. That does sometimes work, but for the most part, you might not need that. So that's kind of up to you. I'll do a video on mini cuts as well, so that kind of explains it. But that's the majority of it. That's the kind of life cycle of a bulk, how I would get started, how I'd manage it and assess it, and then what we do when we approach the end. Obviously, after we hit the end, we go into a deficit and a cut. That's for a separate video. There's other videos I've posted on this, but that's your end of the bulk. So now what I'm going to do is show you some hacks. Just 1 second. So, some hacks. 1, wake up earlier. If you wake up earlier, you have more time to get more calories in, right? I've done this before where I was in a shit routine. I get up at like 12 p.m. This is when I was at university, by the way. I'd never do that anymore. I wake up at fucking 7 a.m. every day. But say you do, and you're waking up at 12, you have a shorter window than me to get calories in, because I'm up at fucking 7. So I've got 5 more hours on you. So I don't have to worry about cramming loads of calories in a shorter space of time, because I can just spread my meals more evenly. So wake up early. It's a life hack. Number 2, calorie-dense foods. So for example, let's choose pasta and rice. Rice and pasta, the same volume, the same amount, will take the same space in your stomach. They will keep you as full. However, pasta has double the calories, and you would know that if you just track it on MyFitnessPal or you look on the packet. So use those kind of foods to your advantage. Pasta is one of them. There are wraps. For example, I'll tell you this right now. 3 wraps, fajita wraps, are 800 calories. Did you know that? You wouldn't think they are, because they're so light. The point is they are. I know this because I just choose the fucking most calorific foods. Avocado, 300 calories per one. A tablespoon of olive oil, 120 calories. Stuff like this, you can start to kind of put a nutrition plan together and use this to your advantage, and then it becomes so easy to get a large amount of calories from kind of whole natural foods, especially if you've got a low appetite. So use calorie-dense foods and play around with this and learn the best ones. I might make a video on a full guide on what to eat, but that's kind of what you want to do. Use healthy fats to your advantage. So again, the avocado, the olive oil, the nuts, all of these are going to be high in calories, and they're healthy for you. You can go over, when it comes to fat almost, because they're fucking healthy fats. Obviously, don't go 200 grams of fat, but you can go up to around 100 grams of fat. So just milk the 100 grams of fat from those calories. Pretty simple. For example, if you're pretty low on fat for the day and you need some extra calories, but you hit your protein, you hit your carbs, just fucking get like 5 tablespoons of olive oil and either put them onto your meals, which won't make any difference, or you can fucking just have a little spoon of it. Like, it's easy. That's like 700 calories from 5 tablespoons. So use that. Liquid calories, bulking shakes. Now, if you have to eat 3,500 calories of whole food, it's not very fun, I'll be honest. So liquid calories, they're a fucking must. Bulking shakes really, really help. And I would try and avoid powders. So I've made the mistake of buying mass gainer, and it is very useful where you get calories in, but it's just you being lazy, because there's a lot of sugar in there, which is going to fuck up your skin. You're going to get acne, and you're going to crash and feel shit. You're going to feel really sluggish, and it's going to feel heavy in your stomach. So make your natural bulking shakes, and the way you do that is just by blending up some oats, putting some nice fruit in there, and putting some protein powder in. That's all you got to do. You don't even need the protein powder, but blend a shake every day. That's around 1,000 calories. I've got it pinned on my Instagram page if you want the actual recipe. But yeah, that will just fucking change your life. Because then if you're having a 1,000 calorie bulking shake, all you got to do is eat 2.5k calories of normal food. Or if that's a bit of a struggle, have 2 bulking shakes, 2,000 calories in shakes, and now you got to eat 1.5k of food. Fuck it, do whatever you want. I wouldn't recommend obviously eating no food and then just drinking bulking shakes. That's no good. Don't do that. But use that to your advantage. It's at your disposal. Next, lift heavy, focus on intensity. You have more calories in your system, therefore you have more energy, so use that to your advantage. Use it, abuse it, and lift as heavy as possible, because there will become a time when you're in a deficit and you won't have this energy. So focus on that intensity and use it. Bulking is steroids. It's the best way I could say it. So fucking abuse it. Olive oil is the GOAT. We've established this. Next, plan your meals ahead of time. People don't like tracking calories, right? Because they make it hard. If you make a habit hard, you won't stick to it. Very, very simple. For example, let's say your gym's 2 hours away. You're never going to go to the fucking gym because you've got to go 2 hours 2 hours there, 2 hours back. Do you see what I mean? You've made the habit hard. So, how do we make tracking calories easy? Well, plan your meals ahead of time. I personally would not track my calories if I go, okay, I'm going to eat this, track what I eat this, track what I eat. Because it gets to like fucking 5 p.m. and you don't even know if you're going to hit the calories or not. Instead, what I do is I go downstairs, boil the kettle. As the kettle's boiling, which takes 2 minutes, I look in my fridge and go, right, what am I having for breakfast? Okay, write that down. What am I going to have for lunch? Okay, write that down. Dinner, all of that, and I play around with it until I hit my calories and my targets on paper. Once I've done that, which takes me 2 minutes now, I have a plan of what I'm going to eat. And all I have to do is eat it. So therefore, I never ever miss my targets because I know I'm going to eat that at 12, I'm going to eat that at 3, I'm going to eat that at 6. It's not that like meticulous. I just have a rough idea of what I'm going to eat. As they say, failing to prepare is preparing to fail. So do you want to win or do you want to lose? Fucking plan your meals at a time. Next, use cheat meals to your advantage. Like I said, whole foods, 3,500 calories, it does become difficult. So there will be times where you need to use cheat meals, and yes, the sugar content will be high. For example, I recommend chocolate milk. It's high in protein, it's low in fucking fat. high in sugar though. But use that to your advantage. If you're ever like not going to hit your targets, have these at your disposal on the weekends and you just really don't want to be eating loads. Get yourself a fucking Domino's. Like, it doesn't matter too much as long as you're hitting your protein and your calories. Just treat, you know what I mean? Like, you're bulking. Don't be doing it all the time because you'll feel shit. But, you know, have a cheat meal every week. Why not? Like, you can. Just fucking do it. So that's your hacks. Now, one more thing I want to go over before I end this video is some bulking myths. Some myths I believed that will help you massively. One, cardio. Right. I believed this for 2 years, and I got so unfit. I knew I was unfit because I went to play football with my mates. So five-a-side, any Americans, it's just like a fucking Tuesday night, like an hour game of football. Point is, I had to get subbed off every 5 minutes. I remember it vividly. I'd come off and I'd be like, yep, literally after going straight on. And it's because I couldn't run, because I was so adamant that cardio kills your gains. You shouldn't do it. But the truth is, cardio keeps you fit, which is really important. You want to be athletic, right? Eventually, once you get to this bulk physique and you get ripped, you're going to want to be athletic, right? So make sure you're staying fit. 2, it improves your heart. So if you're fucking going out on the weekend, you're drinking and you're smoking anyway, whatever, you want a healthy heart. 3, when you're lifting heavier weight, your cardiovascular system will be the lagging kind of metric that's going to stop you from lifting weight. And if you're really unfit, you're going to become out of breath lifting weights. So you need that to be there. And 4, it's just a really, really good way to keep exercising every single day. I personally believe you should be exercising every single day. And unfortunately, you cannot weightlift every day. So on your rest days, do cardio. And the only way you need to do it is just find out what you're eating, so what you're burning, and then eat the calories back. If you do a 5K, you're going to burn 500 calories. So now you get a 500 calorie window. And you can do whatever you fucking want with those 500 calories. So if you are a big eater, do some cardio, and then you can eat more. Simple. Or let's say, and this is degenerate advice, but fuck it. Let's say you like to go out and drink on the weekends and you don't want to gain too much fat. You want to stay in good shape. If you do 2 5Ks a week, you build up an 1,000 calorie bank, and those calories need to come back on. You can have those in fucking beers if you want, and you're not going to gain more fat. That's why you need to do cardio. Not just for that reason, but for loads of reasons. So do it. Next, you can't bulk without getting fat. This is bullshit. Like I said, if you stick to the calorie surplus we talked about, you will not gain fat. The reason why, your body needs around 257 calories, I think, don't quote me on that, to gain muscle. It needs that to actually facilitate the growth process. We say 300 because you're going to make fuck-ups and there's going to be metabolism changes or whatever. 500 is a little bit overdoing it, so you will gain a little bit of fat. But the point is, if you get that right, you will bulk without gaining much fat. It's very, very simple. So understand that. Next, dirty bulking is the best way to put on muscle. It's not. It fucking isn't. So ignore that myth. If you dirty bulk, you gain more fat. Then you have to spend more time cutting in the fat, which wastes time. We don't want to waste time. So dirty bulk is not the way. Next, carbs are bad. Carbs are not bad. Who said this? It's just bullshit. Calories are bad. Overeating calories are bad. Doesn't matter. You could eat all calories being fucking carbs and it's fine. Doesn't matter. Carbs are good. Carbs are good. Why? Because they fill your muscles with glycogen. What does that do? Give you more energy to lift. Before I go for a massive session, I'm going to go train back in a minute. I'm going to have a massive carb meal. In fact, I've already had my carbs before. I'm going to have quick acting carbs like fruit and cereal beforehand because I'm going to have more glycogen, which means I'm going to get a better pump and I'm going to be able to lift way more. So carbs are good. Carbs help you lift more, which means you grow more muscle. Next, more calories equals more gains. No, more gains, I mean. I forgot the G. Sorry about that. But yeah, more calories does not equal more gains. It does up to a certain point, which we talked about, 500 calorie surplus. You know the drill. Finally, you can only gain whilst bulking. That is not true. You can gain muscle in a deficit because as long as you get stronger, then you will gain muscle. Simple. It's just considerably easier to get stronger quicker whilst bulking. So understand that. But I want to cut this video short. It is 24 minutes in, and I hope I haven't bored you for too long. But that is a full guide, Bulking 101. For anyone who's never done it before, wants to know what they need to do, wants to know what to believe, what to listen to. That's your whole guide. I genuinely don't think there's more I could cover. I think I went through it all. If there's anything I missed or anything you want to dispute or have a word with, please, comments. I'm interested. I'll always have a chat. I'll always drop a comment back. So please do let me know. But yeah, that's kind of everything on what I'd say for bulking. I might do a very, very similar one to this on cutting for anyone who's struggling with that. But yeah, that's today's video, Bulking 101. Hope that was useful. If anyone wants actual implementation of this and, you know, still struggles after this, hit me up on Instagram. I'm happy to kind of get you on my coaching, or we can have a call, free consultation, look at where you're going wrong. Let me know. But other than that, that's today's video, and I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers, fellas.